Hi everybody! Another MvM class tutorial at last, yippee! Today we are going to speak about the soldier. Things to know about the soldier's role in MvM. First, it's a good damaging class, best suited to help a pyro with tanks for example, way better than a heavy on the side. Second, you need to get some cash to equals other classes' damage in the long run, for example to maximize reload speed. Third, the soldier is really useful when no Uber medics are around, especially at the beginning of the mission when your damage output wouldn't kill the medics, but help them pop their Ubers instead. That's awful. Fourth, the soldier is ready to the team with his secondary, so you better use a secondary that suits that role. The roamer soldier does not exist in Man's vs Machine. Fifth, it's not recommended playing soldier against expert artificial intelligence robot pyros, because they can easily reflect your rockets against you, but above all against your poor team, so judge it carefully before going soldier in expert mission. Sixth, its good vertical mobility with rocket jumping allows him to take care of support robots easily, like spies and snipers. The latter being true if you have not a beggar's bazooka maybe, as we'll see later. One exception to the third rule, I said before, is the mission Bavarian Bot Bash, for example. No Uber medics here, thus best team composition is with a lot of spammy soldiers, especially if every soldier go with a different banner. A banner for more DPS for the team, Conqueror for more heal and speed for the team, Battalion's backup for more resistances for the team. Remember that this is an exception. In other missions you hardly use more than one soldier, sometimes zero. Anyway, for MvM beginners, soldiers and heavy are recommended class. You can really go wrong with them, provided you use the right loadout that helps you and your team above all. Okay, now let's focus on the primaries. There's a bunch of good choices, and remember, those will be the weapons you deal the damage with, so the ones worth the upgrade, of course. With the soldier, you have a very good choice of primaries you can choose from. First, the stock rocket launcher, and its reskins, of course. In all fairness, it's a good all-round weapon. You have 4 rockets, and by slowly upgrading the efficiency of the weapon, you can rank up your DPS. The original, being almost a reskin of the rocket launcher, has on its advantage or disadvantage just the fact that the rockets fires exactly from the center instead from the right or from the left for the left-handed who uses the rocket launcher. On the other hand, there are fairly different rocket launchers to compare with. For example, the black box. The only disadvantage of this weapon is the 3 rockets. That mostly requires you to spend your $400 to increase the clip size to 5 rockets sooner than later. But on the pros, the black box heals you back 15 health points for every hit. It may seem not so much, but remember that when you fire in a horde of 10 robots, each of them will give you back 15 heal points, so it's a good amount of, for example, 150 with only 1 rocket, and you don't have to kill them to gain this heal back, contrary to the HP on kill, so it can be useful against giants that requires many and many rockets before the last one will give you the HP back. With the black box unupgraded, you get the heal that lets you survive an attack of a giant. Please, I don't recommend to use the direct hit in MvM for the very same reason, because more than often you aim toward a horde of robots, tens of them, and a small radius rocket can't really damage much of them, maybe 1 or 2, but you'll miss the whole benefit of a primary like a rocket launcher and its huge splash damage that hurts lots of robots at once. Same for the Liberty launcher. You don't need faster projectile that damage less than normal. You need the most of your damage, because as a soldier you from the beginning really won't be the most damaging class until you upgrade your primary very well. That's all because of the damage fall off. I do hope you already know that rockets that hits enemies afar deals a very minuscule damage versus that it's an enemy near you. So the more the damage, the better. but when I say the damage together with the splash damage, that's why the direct hit is not a good idea versus MvM, in my opinion, of course. So let's speak about another primary, the Calm Angler. It's like a stock rocket launcher mostly, but doesn't require ammo. That could be a good thing. On the other hand, its stats doesn't show that the first reload time of the rocket it's a bit more than the stock rocket launcher, so if you are going to shot and reload, you'll cripple yourself, and then it can be crit boosted, so I wouldn't keep this if a Chris Krieg medic is around in your team. Besides that, it's a fairly good choice that you can try, but please don't use so much the charge shot. It's pretty useless and empties the whole clip, and you have to reload to be damaging again. All that said, there is the air strike that many tries with the parachute. The good thing of this primary is that it ranks so fast the clip by killing robots, and MvM has many to kill to begin with. On the other hand, the damage reduction that this weapon has, summed up with the fact that you have to be in air to unleash all the clip so fast, gives me the thought that it's not very good for MvM, because yes, on sight it seems that you are raining a universe of rockets towards the enemy. On the other hand, when you see the damage numbers, you'll see that they are pretty minuscule because of the fall off each of them have when you are so far in the air, and because of the damage reduction that the stats requires. And, above all, to give the best use of this primary, you need, as I said, the parachute to stay in air for long. That means only one thing: you can't equip any banner, the buff, the conqueror, the battalions, whatever, and as we'll see soon, it's a major cripple because you, as a soldier, have a major role in the team to damage by yourself and helps the other to damage more or be held more, whatever. You need to be credit to the team if you want to be worth your presence in the team itself. I won't spend a word for the rocket jumper, because soldiers are not really very greeted by the team. You need to do splash damage to damage the horde as a whole, and not nitpicking with melee any of them. So no, please no, unless you are just having fun with some equalizer taunt or whatever. Last but not least, my preferred primary is the Beggar's Bazooka. The reason is that once you start upgrading its reload speed, you practically are upgrading like the firing speed of the other rocket launchers and the reload speed at the same time, with half the cost. I'll try to explain. Since you have to reload to fire one rocket after the other, you really don't need the firing speed upgrade of the Beggar's Bazooka, because it's just the frequency of the rockets that you have loaded one after the other. Instead, the reload speed is what changes the weapon into a clipless rocket launcher mainly. After you have raised the reload speed to the maximum of this weapon, you can simply click and release your mouse button, and you have endless firepower on the rocket until the whole ammo is depleted. This, together with the rocket specialist upgrade we'll discuss soon, renders is a perfect anti-super scout device, for example, because you can fire one after the other without pause all your rockets, and each one can stun the scouts and stop it forever. The only two cons of this primary are really very important to me for MvM, once being the precision on your aim. I know, by equipping this weapon you really can't attack a sniper from afar. It's okay. You need to be more in the vicinity of a giant to deal most of the damage, but the damage ramp-up of the rocket launcher requires you anyway to be near an enemy to unleash maximum damage power. So it's a win-win solution, because you get near the enemy and avoid the missing precision and deal maximum damage. Two birds with one stone. The other bad stats of the Beggar's Bazooka is that you can't get ammo from dispenser until you equip something different. It's not a problem for MvM because you very soon will switch anyway to the banner because you are charged it very quickly by attacking the robots, so just roam around the dispenser when you are sounding into your secondary and you will be replenishing all the ammo of your launcher. I don't see a problem with it. And you can be crit boosted. That's a very good point towards tanks, for example. The best secondary I would use together with the Beggar's Bazooka is the Conqueror. We'll discuss it later, but remember that while you have the Conqueror equipped and active, you mainly can damage at point blank and you'll be healed so much that you won't be hurted by your explosions. So you can really ramp up your primary to the maximum without fear. And while we are speaking about the Conqueror, maybe it's time to discuss the secondaries. Yes, the Conqueror is pretty a good choice, as I said, because you and your teammates can be healed indefinitely for the time of its deployment and be pretty quick moving. That's not a bad thing. Generally, in waves like Bavarian Bot Bash, you can have more than one soldier and everyone equip a different banner for the benefits of the whole team. But realistically, I can see more buff banner soldiers around than Conqueror, and I may understand this. For example, when there are more tanks in the mission and you have to help a pyro, nothing is best than mini-creating you and your teammates around. A heavy, a pyro will thank you endlessly. All in all, the moral of the secondaries is that you need to equip a banner, the buff banner, if you want your team deal more damage, because there is the need to. Or a Conqueror, if you know that your team will face a threat that it's better to fight with the due defenses. Or the battalion's backup, to negate criticals and have enough resistances from the beginning when your team hasn't already raised very much the resistances in the upgrades. Other secondaries? No thank you. You can go with a shotgun in MvM because first, it's not a banner that helps your team, and second, because your money will go into the primary, so it's pretty useless to bring another damaging weapon with you that you won't use ever. And the same applies to the reserve shooter, because you hardly will launch in the sky any robot, not worth it. About the Writer's Bison, someone thinks it can be useful to be something different from the meta, but first, it's not a banner, you won't help your team. Second, among its upgrades, there isn't the damage, so your damage will be stopped, no matter how many dollars you can have. I have tried it and hoped its endless penetration could be the differentiation and the damage dealer. I don't see it worth the wait. Maybe for easy boot camp, not for serious business, boys. The list of the secondaries, gunboats, mantreads, please no. See what I said about the rocket jumper, guys. Gunboats could be useful, but they are not a banner. You won't help anyone beside you, and they need you. About the melee, really, there is so few choices that you can be as an advantage in MvM. Maybe the Equalizer, because you can rush to the next medkit in case of emergency. And the Disciplinary Action, because you can help you and your teammates to rush quickly with no extra cost or fear. Or Frying Pan, or Ham, whatever, if you don't plan to use it anyway. But, in case you ask me, Disciplinary Action, you are good to go. Now let's talk accurately about the upgrades. As I said, it depends on the primary. Because for example, Beggar's Bazooka doesn't require firing speed, almost, because you maybe go to max reload speed ASAP. But beside of that, what I would suggest you to rise immediately at first wave is the Rocket Specialist. Let's speak and explain why. No, it's not for the rocket speed or the increased splash damage. They are a good thing, but not worth the upgrade if they were alone. But they are not alone. The direct hit feature of this Rocket Specialist is what differentiates it from the rest, and precisely the fact that you negate the fall-off of your direct hits rockets and stuns robots. The first thing means that while a rocket that you fires from afar without a rocket specialist could deal like 30, 26 damage, once you equip the rocket specialist with just 1 point, $300, any direct hit, even from the other part of the map, will give you the stock damage of a rocket launcher hit, that is almost 50-60 per rocket. It's a good deal and something wonderful. Plus, the stun thing, it's a good thing against super scouts or any robots that you fear can pass by your defenses. And with the Vegas bazooka, you can endless stop any robots indefinitely. So my upgrade path for any situation would be 1 on rocket specialist and reload speed as much as possible. And about the rocket specialists, remember, the second, third and fourth point are pretty useless because they just increase the rocket speed and the blast radius feature of the rocket specialist, but they don't change a thing about the damage fall-off, negation and the stun. So you pretty much upgrade the rocket specialist to 1 and never go beyond. It's useless more than 1. All that said, for the other upgrades, it's mostly as the other classes. For example, the health on kill can be a very useful thing, especially if you are not equipping the black box. The ammo can be a godsend with the Vegas bazooka if you feels in the need of other rockets while spamming and don't have a dispenser in the nearby. Remember that firing speed is useful on any rocket launcher except the Vegas bazooka. And the damage is a very interesting upgrade for later waves because you must cope up with the other classes. For example, once you have maximized your damage and have the rocket specialist, you can almost consistently kill medics because your max damage at any distance will be more than the HP of the Uber medic. But really, if you have a demo man or a sniper, let the medic picking roll to them because they are more reliable than you. About the banner upgrades, it just prolongs the effect of the banner, so you will deal mini crit for a longer time, or Conqueror will heal and quicken you for a long time. It's a good thing, but keep it for later waves maybe, and focus on your resistances maybe instead. And that is all as applicable as what I said for the heavy in another tutorial. Just in the first page, focus on the blast, bullet or critical resistances as applicable, and not for the fire resistance, because they are close range damage. You will be smart enough to avoid it by yourself. Canteens, you know, they are practically a crutch, because you will spend lots of money for them for a temporary benefit that won't last like all the other upgrades. Use them conscientiously. So far, this tutorial lasted a bit longer than expected, so I'll short this final part. I hope you find it useful, besides they are a common sense things. But remember that if you are a beginner of MvM, being a soldier or heavy is a good start for you, because you hardly can damage your team by going for these classes. Just pick a good secondary for helping the team. Don't attack Uber medics if you have another medic picker class, and you are good to go. Hope you have liked it, and thanks for watching.